Hey crafters, this week in preparation for my next painting video, we're doing some bases. I got a lot of really good feedback from my typhus paint job and some tips on how to do it a little better. So I'm working on a painting video for all y'all for my space walls. In the meantime though, we're working on some bases. So this week, I'm going to give you my recipe for making Arctic wastes or ice bases. We're not talking like tundra. We're talking, this is a land that has ice and snow and no life, just horrible frozen death. They're really cool looking bases. I've been making them for a while this way. They look really good. Let's go over the table and see what you think. Alright, so the first step to making ice bases is you got to have bases. And this is just a standard 32 millimeter Citadel base. I batch prime a lot of my bases with just a simple gray primer, just because it gets things to stick to, and I'm almost always going to put more paint on top of them. So you don't have to prime them for this step. This is just something that I do. But what I'm going to do is, the first step to making these ice bases, we're going to use Martian Ironearth. Hold with me, folks. It'll make sense when we get there. But Martian Ironearth has a great texture to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to scoop some on there. Now you want to kind of mix it up first. Some people use brushes. Citadel makes a lovely tool. I've got a bunch of clay tools, so any sort of spatula-like tool will work. But you just want to get some of your earth and you want to put it on your base relatively thick. You don't want to go like super thick, but you don't want to just have it barely on there. You want to put a decent amount on there, and you want to keep it off your rim. So don't be afraid to get, while it's wet, a little bit on your fingers, and just keep the rim nice and clear. And there you go. So thick coat, but not glopped on there, and not thin at all. You want to make sure you get some good texture to it. You don't want it uniform. You don't want it perfectly smooth. The layers will again add texture. You just want to make sure you get it on the entire top of the base, and then you use a finger to just clear it off the base. Let these dry. I have heard people say an hour. I usually let these dry overnight, make sure they're completely set before we go on to the next step. Alright crafters, so our Martian Ironearth has dried. That's a lovely cracked texture on there. So these 5 are ready to go for the next step. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some white primer or white spray paint, and we're going to give them a nice solid coat and turn this all white. So you don't want to put so much gum on there that it gums up and gets rid of your texture, but you want to do enough that it's going to be a nice solid coat. So white spray paint, let it dry, come on back. Alright, so our white paint is dried, and we have 5 cracked looking bases, all in a nice bright white. So now we need to add some depth to them. So we're going to need some Bararoth Blue that we are going to water down into a wash. So we're going to do, because we're doing 5 of them, I'm going to do 3 drops of Bararoth Blue, and then Lamian Medium well, actually 50-50 Lamian Medium and water. And we're going to do 4 to 1. So I put 3 drops, we're going to put 12 drops in. Take our brush and we're going to mix it up. Now, when you're looking at this, you want this to be the consistency of a regular Games Workshop shade. So in this case, it looks a little too thick for me yet. So I'm going to do 3 more drops and get this to a 5 to 1. And yeah, this is looking much better, much more liquid. So we're now going to take our 5 to 1 Bararoth and 50-50 Lamian water, and we're just going to give the bases a liberal wash. This is looking good. Now you just want to let this dry fully. So let this completely dry. Give it at least an hour before we do the next stage. You want to make sure this is absolutely 100% dry. So we're going to let this dry and we're going to come back. Alright, crafters, so this has dried for a couple hours now. They're looking really good. Blue with some white highlights. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look for where the thickest or deepest cracks are. And we're going to take some Drakaroth Nightshade and we're going to put just a small amount of it. So that's pretty much that. So now we just need to wait for this to dry. And when this dries, we're gonna come back with some white paint and we're gonna do a heavy dry brushing. So we'll be back as soon as this dries. Alright, so now we're dried and we've got some white paint. Going to give these guys a heavy dry brush. Alright, so we got our dry brushing done. We've got a nice white top with our blues underneath. Now we just need to make it look a little bit more icy. So now we're going to let this dry and we're going to just hit this with a gloss coat. So a good old-fashioned hard coat, give it a gloss coat, and then after you've glossed it, you're gonna paint your rims whatever color you're gonna do. I'm gonna do mine in black. I just like the black rim. And then we're gonna come back and do the last final touches. So gloss coat, then rim. I want the rim to be nice and matte, but the top to look glossy like ice. So we'll come back. These will be nice and glossy and having a nice edge on them. Okay, crafters, so here we are. We got our blue, we've got our gloss, we've got our nice black rim. We're at the final step. The final step to our ice bases is just a little tiny bit of Valhallan Blizzard. This stuff doesn't turn yellow like other kinds of snow flocking, and it just kind of makes you put like a little pile of it down and it eventually hardens. So what we want to do with these bases is we want to look at where we have spots that don't have a lot of texture, and we just want to put a tiny bit Alright, let those dry and those bases are ready for figures. Thank you so much, crafters. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to hearing your feedback, and I look for your comments below. The comments you guys give me, the feedback you give me, helps me make better content for you. So please, like, share, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks again. Game on.